Welcome to Goddess State, where we are creating divine realities and building global brands by stepping into the spotlight and claiming massive identities. Today, we have an exciting guest with us, Chibuzo, who calls
Hi.
herself the Performance Priestess. I would
Yes.
love for you to talk to us about what that means to you.
Yes. Okay, so I feel like, hi everybody, hi. I feel like when people hear the word performance and priestess, those are two like very charged words, right? So I'm not just like calling myself a priestess. I've studied for a long time. I study under this brilliant divine woman. Like, really, she embodies the principles of what I consider goddess work. She's very in service. She's very kind, very bold, very truthful, very multidimensional, very rooted. And also there's a spiritual, wisdom understanding to her as well in such like a massive way where she's created like this empire and this wealth for herself while still remaining very grounded. So I trained with this woman for about 3 years, and before that I was a yogi. So when I say priestess, I really hope to honor the lineage of tantrikas and goddesses and people who have done this work, who really started the work. So that's where the priestess part comes from, and it's really more of the way that I approach it with performance. I use performance kind of like a creative direction, really, because I know when people say performance, we think it's like so fake and it's so
Yes.
like, that's
Yeah.
everybody online is using performance that way. And I think it's so unfortunate because I think that that scares people who really belong in that arena. Like, there are some really talented people who are meant to do more than one thing. And I really hope that with this work that I can do, it encourages people to come out the shadows and be like, I'm good at this, but also I remember I used to want to do that as a kid and I can tear that up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you're saying that performance has just been so abolished in the space that performance is like wearing a mask or that it means you're putting on a show, but like for artists that's what we do, that's who we are. And don't you have a lot of Leo placements? I believe you do, right? You have a
Yes.
Leo
Yes.
midheaven. Is that
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
I
so
got a
you're
lot of.
yeah, so you're literally here to be a performer. I think the greatest talent, most talented people in the world embrace that role,
Yes.
but they also understand that ego serves the soul. And so
Yes.
I love what you're saying about being a performance priestess because to me, instantly that transmitted, ooh, the word priestess actually means to be a messenger from the divine to the mortals. So you're kind of becoming a messenger of performance, taking that energy from the divinity to this world and showing people what it means to actually embrace positive performance. So tell us about your role as an artist and like the types of performance that really light you up.
Ooh. Okay, that's a really good question. I've been performing since I was in high school. So the kinds of performances that light me up is definitely things that scare me, like things that because I think that like me, Chibuza, I think I have like a very maybe reserved and like I don't think people would really think that, but I don't like to step out the box too much for myself. Like I can be expressive in clothing or whatever, but I think that kind of helps me like, oh, people think she's loud or whatever. And then it lets me kind of shrink back a little bit. But roles that really light me up. They're roles that usually intimidate me, so are things that probably very silly and comedic, things where I have to use a lot of body humor, improv. I remember moments like that, like in my training, those were the ones where I definitely blacked out and I was like, okay, something has to take over. I'm gonna let the divine take over here because I gotta go somewhere else.
And you're
But
talking about
yeah,
acting. Like you do acting,
yeah.
right? Okay, perfect.
Yes, yes. But I guess other roles that do light me up. I love this. I love being a creative director for Star Support and for Baichiboo's. I really did not think I would enjoy. Well, that's not true. I think I knew. But I originally started it with a spiritual to offer spiritual one-on-one services. But the more I trained under my mentor, and the more I was kind of seeing what other people were needing and wanting and going through in the world, I kind of felt like I think people want something more.
So what do you think that people need? in terms of like being embracing this role of performance in the world?
I think from what I've seen, because I've been in a lot of different spiritual spaces in my journey, like seeking and looking for where I feel I might truly belong, I think people really need direction. And I think people need permission to embody and to have fun. I think that when we go into so much spiritual seeking, we are really looking for the permission. And this is what I learned, in my priestess training. Like, we're really looking for the permission to tap into all those faces of the divine feminine, of our shadow, of our soul. And we do this through spiritual work. But at a certain point, I really think the knowledge and gaining more wisdom, it's time for you to take that out and to really embody it. It's time for you to play with it. It's time for you to get messy. It's time for you to break it open. You don't need to be perfect with that knowledge. That's not what it is about. It's about allowing you to unleash and find these different parts of yourself that you've repressed or you've closed off because of the society that we live in. And I think that's what people are really looking for, something immersive, something ritualistic, something performative to really give their spirit to.
Yeah, and I think that that's what embracing shadow work is, right? It's looking at
Yes.
all the repressed parts of yourself and being like, okay, I don't have to hide from this. I can use this in my practice. I can use this anger that's been building up. I can use this rage or this jealousy. And so I would ask you, what is the difference between shadow work and golden shadow work?
I think with shadow work, we're really have been encouraged to like keep digging into all our muck. And I think, but I've studied, and that is helpful. That's great. That's really great to not be afraid to see, to know the subconscious of why. Like a lot of reality creation teachers encourage, and I think we don't hear them the first time when they say this because it's so like, how is that going to fix anything? It's like you're putting a band-aid over a bullet wound. But I will say, when we focus on the traits that naturally come easiest to us and we accept, not necessarily keep digging in the mud for the muck, but when we accept the things that naturally come easiest to us, that we can really serve people with, that we can lead with, I think when we focus there, that's really the golden shadow work. It's saying, you know what, I know I'm flawed. I know I have this stuff going on. I know I experienced that. And you know what? I'm going to accept it instead of continuing to dig and justify. And instead, I'm going to step forward on my best foot and I'm going to see what happens. And I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to allow myself to learn. That's what I hear when I hear teachers like Neville Goddard or Abraham Hicks say, forgive and forget, or bypass, or focus on what you want to focus on, you know?
And so, for someone who is deep in their shadows and they keep digging, what does that look like for
Yeah.
them?
I'll say what it looks like for me. I know when I'm in my shadows, I'm like, sometimes I'm on Chat GPT. Like I'm in bed, you know what I'm saying? Like it's low self-care. I'm spiraling. I choose to notice everything that's going wrong, and then I just stay there and I stay there and I'm like, well, nothing is working out. Well, yeah, probably because you're where your focus is, that's kind of what you're experiencing. And not to say that there's not value in resting
So,
and
yeah, so it looks like spiraling. So it's just
yeah,
people just perpetuating these dark thoughts per se and just staying there, staying in this like
yeah,
chaotic
yeah,
space without understanding how to move that energy into something
yes.
productive. So how could someone who's in a spiral take that and be like, "Oh my God, this is gold. This is something I can use right now." Where should they direct their energy? How would you help them do that?
The place that will never like reject you or judge you for that kind of stuff, that's art. I say whatever you're
Mm.
feeling, you can always take the rawest and like ugliest, what you think is ugly or gnarly, find. You don't need to like go all the way to the end of the to 180 it. Just kind of reach for your journal, you know what I'm saying? Turn it into a story. Make it something artistic or transmute it in some kind of way where you feel I don't know, this is kind of sick. Maybe this is creative, so it doesn't just live inside of you and it can do more instead of,
Inspire. Yeah.
yeah.
Is there any like sick and twisted art that you would say you've resonated with that has actually helped you heal that people would label as like twisted and just like, oh my God, why are you resonating with that? You're so weird.
Yes.
Like what?
Yes, that's so funny. I can't say off the top of my head, but I know I really resonate with kind of like moody and this is what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like okay, and I dubbed body horror earlier this year, but I'm kind of really fascinated with artists who create like body horror paintings or like horrific moody stuff. I don't know why. To me, it's kind of soothing in a way. It's like because I think I don't know, been always been kind of afraid of symbolisms and stuff. So to see it in your face, it's kind of different. Also that and like maybe heavy metal, but that's not sick and twisted. I just like heavy metal.
I don't know. I've actually seen this video of like I think it's called like a death spiral or something that ants do, and they had played this heavy metal music, and then the ants just started spiraling in like a death
Oh,
spiral, which just shows that like they march until death because they don't know
nice.
how to get out of the spiral, and
I have
heavy
no
metal
idea.
music kind of creates that. But yeah, no, that's just really interesting. Something that I have resonated with is obviously all of Billie Eilish's dark music, let's
Fuck
just say,
yeah.
when she was in that era of like healing demonic possession and
Yeah.
going through entity attacks. And I think that why we resonate with this shadow work is because it brings up things that maybe you don't know how to process on your own. And so when someone else does it, it kind of gives you permission to be like, wow, thank you for bringing that up to the
Yes.
surface when I maybe didn't know how to label what was going on within myself. And it just gives energy to what's dormant in the subconscious mind, things that maybe would take us years to, that would just be
Yes.
creating these like demons within us and these monsters because we don't know how to label it. But it's like as soon as you label something and you bring it up to the conscious mind, you kind of understand now that it doesn't have power over you because you are the creator. And I think that a lot of people's demons and a lot of people's like shadow sides, they're only in control of you because you're not labeling them and you're not becoming the creator of them. You're letting them kind of control you and puppeteer you.
Yeah.
So, is there something that you have brought up to the surface? Maybe like some of your darkest, shadowiest aspects. And when we say dark, we really mean hidden
Yeah.
because that's what shadow work is. It's hidden. That's what occult work is. Occult means hidden. So, are there aspects of yourself, these shadowy aspects of yourself that you have touched on, that you have brought up to the forefront and you have been like, you know what? I'm going to claim this. I'm going to own this. And nobody's going to be able to hold this over me
Yeah.
anymore. Can you share that with us?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I'll say the heck yeah. I think I'm embracing more and more the kind of the shadow that I know I have. I can be kind of a hothead. Who has that gotten me into some situations? But yeah, kind of embracing that and realizing, you know what, uh, I can be a villain. I can be a villain, you know. If encouraged to the right degree, I can be a villain for sure. But I don't know, it kind of helped me take some pressure off myself of always needing to be perfect or to be perceived exactly like how I want people to perceive me. Yeah, and it kind of gave me a little bit of freedom, I think. Like, I don't have to be perfect. I know I just said that, but I don't have to be perfect and that's yeah, I don't know, that's a really big
And
win
how do
for
you
me.
think that you would have owned that?
How do I think I would have owned the
So, yeah.
villain?
Yeah, the villain. How do you own being the villain?
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Right. Well, I kind of remember that a kind person is inherently a little bit more in service to the environment than a nice person. So I kind of lead with that. And I know that if I come across sharp or really bold or indifferent or just, traits that are not usually associated with a woman, I kind of remember like I hope I'm answering the question. I kind of remember I'm like rooted in my heart, and sometimes that is in direct opposition to being nice or to being received as the good guy, and I think that's okay. I think that's okay if you got a purpose for it. Yeah.
How would you transfer that energy in a practical way, being the villain in your daily life?
Boundaries. Yeah. When you set boundaries, and that's just not like, um, yeah, it's boundaries with people you don't even know, and it's boundaries with people you do know, and that can come across kind of villainous. And I've kind of realized in my own growth or ascension, you really have to use your voice, and it's not always going to be pretty, especially when people do things that you don't exactly love. Because I'm very chill, I'm very diplomatic, but sometimes you gotta, activate that villain, and you gotta set your foot down, use a little rah rah,
And would you say that that is something that is part of your dark side, or would you say that that's actually essential to be able to protect your energy?
No, that's essential to protect your energy. That's essential. I'd say my dark side, that's more of like, she has like a more melancholic, mischievous tone, I'd say. Yeah, yeah.
And would you say that you are ashamed of that side of you? Because I think that that is for anyone listening, we're trying to get you to embrace the things that you feel maybe guilty about or shameful about or that you want to hide in yourself. And I'll give you
Yeah.
an example for me is like my dark side is that sometimes it is my way or the highway because I believe that my my way is the best way and that could really result
Yeah.
in me overpowering people and just doing the things the way that I want to do them. This came across in college, university, when I would be in group projects and I would just like go my own way and be like, no, you guys are not getting it. Like, I'm just going to do it on my own. And this idea of othering myself because I could not ever function with a team. And I think that that has been like the life like through line of my life is just like I don't know why I can't get along with other people. I don't know why they don't see things the way I see them. But the dark side of that is like, well, maybe I'm not seeing things the way that they're seeing them. And that's something that I've had a lot of shame about. And so it has helped me kind of look at the other and empathize with them. And that's something I've been embracing. So yeah, do you have any experiences where it's like something that you've had guilt or
Yeah.
shame about that you've now accepted about yourself so that we can help other
Yeah.
people kind of bring up those shadows within themselves and accept them?
Yeah, for sure. I really resonate. I'm also, very nitpicky, and I don't I've had a lot of shame over, I guess, my tone and how direct I am, but I really, like I said, I kind of just like to, if I'm rooted in kindness and I kind of just like let it spit, let it flow, I'm less worried. I know it's not always going to be how everybody wants to receive the truth or whatever, but I think just like giving it to people straight, and that I've alchemized that shadow, because before I just used to be like, this is my truth, you're going to hear it, I don't care who it offends, blah blah blah, all over everybody. But now I've used that. Okay, you want to say something that you think is the truth. Okay, cool. Is this gonna help people? Yeah? Okay, cool. So how are you gonna say it? Okay, cool, now say it. Before, I used to have a lot of shame with that because I don't know. Yeah, I just used to have a lot of shame because I think being outspoken is not always it's not always an accepted trait. But I also wanted to say, Aura, about like your way or the highway. I feel like that's such a star thing. I think that's a star thing because you have the vision, you know? Yeah, and
Yeah.
everybody has the vision.
I agree. And then at the same time, I know that I've heard stories about people in Hollywood who have been like, oh, she's too much of a diva. I can't work with
Yeah,
her. I'm never going to work with this person again. And then you get a bad name that you can't work with
yeah,
people because no man, no woman is an island. And I think that that's
true.
important to know too, that you need people to get ahead and you need to be able to have your vision fit into other people's, way of working. But I completely agree.
Yeah.
I identify as a diva, a star. And then at the same
Yeah,
time, we need to work on those shadows to be able to
for sure.
work with other people. You were
Yeah,
talking a lot about talent repair and how a lot of people need to repair their joy, repair their
yeah.
talent. And I loved that phrasing. So Why did that come to mind about talent repair and joy repair? Are people in a state of not using their joy or talents in society?
Yes. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I think there's a lot of resistance to seeing other people enjoy. I see it online now. There's a push and pull, like the more visible someone is in a state of health or wealth, there's some pushback. I think that we really naturally have some resistance, like baked into the foundation of society, about being joyful or sharing your joy. Like, what's the value of that? Or how does this profit anybody? It profits people greatly, you know? Seeing people who are healthy and inspired, like that inspires me to find that within myself and then pour that back out to people. Definitely. And like we mentioned earlier about, people journeying into spiritual spaces and having more gifts than they know. And that's why people really, do so much seeking. I think there's so much talent and so much desire and artistry and creativity inside of people that comes later because they think they have to do something to deserve what was always theirs.
Yeah, and I think that watching people in their expressions and their joy and their talents kind of gives us permission or even expands us to what's possible. I mean, there are people making $1 million months, and I'm just like, wait, how? Like, what kind of energy would it take to
Yeah.
make $1 million a month? And I see that, and this is so many of my mentors, and I'm like, girl, what are you on? How are, and of course, this is like systems in place, and also just the identity you have to embody to make $1 million a month. And it's inspiring to me. And if this does activate your golden shadow, in terms of like, if it's a golden shadow, then it's something that you envy. It's something that makes you jealous. It's something that you feel you have to also achieve in your lifetime. And if it doesn't awaken any sort of feelings within you, then it's just not for you. But yeah, I think that seeing people in their joy and their greatest expansion kind of shows us what's possible. Yeah, I would love to know what activates your golden shadow in terms of like things that you are inspired by, but like jealous of because you're like, damn, how are they doing that?
Yes, I leadership. That's definitely my golden shadow. When I see someone really tapped in and they're like leading a community, I'm like, how are they doing that? I want to learn how to do that. I want to connect like that. Like that inspires me. Like, okay, back to the drawing board. What do we need to work on? Like that keeps me very motivated. And wealth, of course, like independent and sovereign wealth. I'm like, yes, people who are spiritual leaders who have created an independently wealthy lifestyle, that inspires me so much. Yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah.
probably
And when you see these people in leadership roles, and then you go back to the drawing board and you're like, okay, what do I need to do? What kind
yeah.
of actions do you take? Do you study like their mannerisms? Do you study what they're saying? Like, how do you actually take their qualities and embody them to start becoming either more like them? Is that what you do? Because that's a practice that I do. So I'm wondering if that's your method too.
Yeah, about 50% of that, and then 50% I really look at their systems. Like you said, it's, systems and what am I weak on. But yeah, what qualities are they openly embodying and embracing that to me there's some resistance, like, um, yeah, punctuality, or organization, or just the ability to share your message in a way that really touches people's hearts, and natural, effortless leadership. Like, those are things that I really like to study on.
And what's a quality of a leader that you're like, wow, they are definitely in a leadership role?
How do you mean?
So for me, when I think of a leader, I think of their ability to be like extremely convicted in the message that they're bringing forward. And
Yeah.
conviction to me is like, you cannot convince them out of the beliefs that they have because they've either been walking such an embodied path that they know that is the way, And I'm just like so inspired by that. I'm like, oh my God, you are so convicted in your truth and you have so much audacity and you are so bold. And
Yeah,
those qualities for me activate my golden shadow. And I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
that's kind of a sign for me to move in that direction and embody those qualities. And then, yeah, I go back to the drawing board and I'm like, okay, I need to really believe in something that gives me this energy of momentum to the point where I'm that convicted. So, what are some
yeah,
qualities that you're so drawn by?
yeah. Fearlessness,
Mm.
authenticity, boldness. I love boldness. I think about Cody Sanchez and oh yeah, I think about Cody Sanchez a lot. She really inspires me, and Layla Hermosi. Those women, they're so bold, but they're also very real and groundedness. Yeah, I think being a grounded leader, being a leader who has, it's not. I teach about performance, but I don't want there to be a wall between me and the people in my community or the people that I lead. Boundaries, of course, but I really respect and I love the way that they just let it rip. They just let people see themselves because they know they're in service of something that's higher.
And is that the type of leader that you aspire to be? Or is there more of like a performance element where you look at like artists like Nicki Minaj or Lady Gaga, where it's like, whoa, you can tell that their performance is like the thing
Yeah.
that's leading them? Or is it more the business side of just speaking it how it is? Do you see yourself as
Ooh.
like the bridge to both or what?
Yeah, for sure. Because when you said that about Lady Gaga and the way that she does performance art, that so inspires me. Of course, I want it all. I want to be both the performative, you know, persona and the aura that is larger than life. And then I love the way that it's just direct, straight to business. That you can lead people through the fire. I want to stand in both. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. In your goddess state reality, what is the highest vision for you? If you know that you are living the dream, what does that look like for you?
For sure, it looks like Star Support being an actual production playground, where people come and we create these conscious and fun spiritual productions together, and people who have never thought about going into filmmaking or acting or creating in that kind of way, they're like, oh, this is always what I was meant to do. This is my people, this is my family. And, having time to discover and travel, but mostly Star Support, seeing that really be grounded into the world and leading that with my people. Yeah, that's I'm in the goddess state for sure.
Yay. So helping people become stars. That's so
Yeah,
beautiful. Why do you think that's
not even
important?
helping,
Okay.
not even helping. I think there are people who are already stars, and that's just kind
Mm.
of forgotten knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think that we're literally stardust.
Yes.
I mean, our birth charts show that we are of the stars. We are a star here on
Literally.
Earth. And so, how are you going to help activate these people into becoming stars and embodying that quality?
It's about the role, so many of us were put into roles that we didn't really agree to, and with Star Support, really our mission, we want to return to people the experience of, you know, maybe I am a leader in this way, or maybe I'm meant to be seen this way. I'm not really just one thing. Yeah, I'd really love to give people the experience not just of being like an actor, but of being a writer, director, someone with, some weight towards this thing that's bigger than them using their creative gifts. And you don't need to be the person that you thought you had to be to do this. Like it's already in you. Just go.
So, everyone has this star quality, you feel?
100%. 100%. Yeah. It's just what
Wow.
it's buried under.
Ooh, that's interesting. So, for someone who's like, no, I have no talents,
You definitely have a talent. You definitely have a talent.
how would they find that?
You need to because if I sit in front of somebody and I see somebody who says I have no talent, it's so easy to me. Like I would start with just like, well, no, I think you need to redefine what you think talent is because not a lot of people could even, vocalize or say something so bold. I think you need to redefine what you think is valuable and look like in a very simple way, or maybe just follow your fun. Like, don't overthink it, don't overthink it. Even the things that you think nobody cares about, that's a talent, you know what I mean? Like, not everybody knows how to fix a computer, or I don't know, you know what I mean? The word talent isn't it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that we forget how valuable our knowledge is because it's so normalized to us. Until
Yeah.
we go into the world and we're like, wait, you don't know anything about the stars? You don't know how to read a birth chart? Like, oh my God, let me sit you down for a second. We're going to get like, and obviously, I know that astrology is not extremely mainstream yet. I do believe it will be. But that's just one tiny talent in my pocket to help someone read a chart. What are some of your talents that you could extract in other people and be like, oh my God, I can help you do this, this, and this?
Well, I'm a Virgo, so I very easily can see kind of like the the through line of a goal. I can help people. I tend to help people align to their goals, with habits, and that's a talent. I think that's a talent. What other talents do I have? I love business. I love business. I love customer service. I think that's kind of a talent of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really obsessed with like mutual benefit, and how can this thing I create or this position I'm in help people get what they want. I think that's a talent. Also, I love movies. I host this article on Substack, Pop Culture Prophecy, and this is
Mm.
so it's I guess it's a talent, but it's kind of lame. Like, I don't know, I can kind of like see patterns and trends in people's artistry and their through line before they, I guess that's part of creative direction, yeah, before they do it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, like, I love stating this. I was following Sabrina Carpenter for years. Like, I went to her concert and I think it was 2018 because I knew she was going to be a huge star. So, like, yeah, paying attention to like people's like star qualities and things like that in their artistry. I think that's a talent of mine. Yeah.
And that's a really important talent just because, like we said, a lot of people don't know what makes them great. And I think
Yeah.
that's a huge part of branding too, is like extracting what you see is going to blow up in a person and being like, you need to market this.
Yeah.
You need to go all in on this. That's lovely. I love
Yeah.
that.
Thank
So,
you.
what is something else that you want to leave people with in terms of the work that you do or the golden shadow or just a message that you want people to really take from this episode?
Yes. I want people to take, a lot of the information out there is really about learning how to hold your power, but I think there are a lot of people who naturally come into this world and you're not divorced from that. You know how to hold your power, and I want you to take that is your golden shadow, and the obstacles and the resistance you face for standing brightly and with that in the world, that is your path. And the more that you accept the shadows that either have formed or have come with your soul for holding your power, know that you are creating a new language and a new embodiment, a new way of being. You are creating another sect of the golden shadow by holding your power and not relinquishing that in the world. That is so valuable. And whatever is thrown at you, like too bold or too much or too arrogant, too confident, those are really the vibrations that we need to bring into the world so more people can feel confident and a less desire to be perfect. When we say performative, maybe we just really mean perfect, and you don't need to be perfect to be who you've been called to be.
Yeah, and perfection is subjective. You could create the
Very much so.
perfect song, the perfect artwork, and then someone's still going to hate
Yes.
it. So it wasn't
Please
perfect to them. So it doesn't really work, right?
hear that.
We have a past guest who leaves a question for the future guest, and the last guest left a question asking what makes you dance.
What makes me, oh, I love a good beat. A good beat when, ooh, that's it. That's all I need. That's all
Yeah,
I need. Good
I
question.
hear that. What would be a question that you would want to ask the next guest?
Ooh, hmm. I want to ask this goddess, ooh, what qualities in a goddess inspires you? Yeah.
Hmm, I love that. Okay, so where can people find you?
Hi, okay, guys. So you can find me on, well, actually, you can find me on Substack, like I said. You can follow Pop Culture Prophecy. You can join my free Green Room newsletter and get into the cinematic world of By Chibuza and start support, and we can work together on embracing your star qualities. You can also find me on IG and on threads at By Chibuza. I think that is it for now, but mostly you can always find me at bychibuza.com.
And Instagram is,
At bychibuza.
yay. Do you want to spell that just in case people are like,
Yes.
oh,
Yes. Sorry, guys. Okay, so at and then BYCHIBUZO. That's me.
perfect. And everything is going to be listed in the show notes below too. Thank you so much
Yay.
for offering your beautiful star quality, star shine, golden shadow energy to this Goddess State podcast. We appreciate you so much. And we will see you next week, goddesses, for the next episode.
Thank you so
Bye.
much for having me, Aura. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.